What's up, guys? Steven here with another market update for you. Reminder, go check out the Discord and the link below if you want to get more frequent updates from me. Also, check out the premium if you want all of the live trades and portfolio updates. This week, we talked about a lot of things. I put a kind of out there thread and video out yesterday, as well as on my Substack, magiclines.substack, where I postulated that we might be on the verge of a little alt season. I still do think that is an interesting possibility. Maybe we'll talk about that after this. I want to talk a little bit about Bitcoin in this video. I've been bullish on a bottom somewhere in here since being bearish up here. The question in my mind has been not so much like will we bounce, but will we bounce and make a new all-time high, or will we bounce and roll over and kind of die a little bit there, right? So I've been thinking about the bounce case, and I gotta be honest, it's very hard for me to see us putting in a new all-time high from here. I just think that when we look at the weekly chart right now, there's a couple of things. We've got the weekly break of structure. Had we closed this as a sweep, I would have felt better about that. This isn't great. Also going to be interesting to see how this week closes. So if this candle can close up here back inside the range around 99K or so, and we could, not leave behind this imbalance here, that would help a little bit with my my thoughts that we might be able to put in a new all-time high. But like the way this is sold off, like the speed, the ferocity, the gaps left behind, it's along with the weekly structure, like I think I have to default to assuming that a bounce is something to get out on. So Bitcoin bounce, lower high, possible that Ethereum could put in a higher high still. Open to that idea. Definitely open to the idea of a little alt blow off, whether that lasts 1 week or 2 weeks or a month or however long these things go these days. But I think we have to operate under the assumption that Bitcoin is probably cooked. Not like 4-year cycle cooked, but maybe we come back down here into some of this demand for a bottom, or maybe we finally come back to this little zone. That would be an interesting area around 42K or so. 65% peak to trough. Definitely possible. Definitely possible. And honestly, that probably makes a little more sense to me. I feel like if we break this monthly structure here, we get a bounce, but it would make sense to me that we would go and clean up this low and then maybe go up and got the mid range of this entire move here around 41K. So that all makes sense. If I kind of view this as I think it is correct to view this pretty obviously now looks like accumulation, manipulation, and expansion. Just your classic kind of market maker profile, right? We are looking at projection targets to kind of think about where this might go. These are pretty useful. Use these a lot. The the two standard deviation move takes out this low and trades into this little area of demand here that we completely front ran. So this is a really interesting level for buys, this kind of 72K-ish area, because you've got a lot of stop losses from all the people longing here, and then you've got this like pretty significant area of demand that broke this structure here. So I really like this level, and it could theoretically be a bottom level, especially because it could coincide with a tap of the prior bull market high around like 69K. Nice. So that would be option one, I think. Option two, is we go to the -4, and you can see the -4 kind of aligns up with this zone, and it aligns pretty good with the mid-range here, right? So from a price action standpoint, that's what I'd be looking at. This whole bull market or onset of this bear market, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me from like a logical perspective. Um, Bitcoin basically ran up during a period of kind of like economic stagnation in a way. Even though the stock market was up, the economy hasn't been doing super well. Like if you look at the copper gold ratio, for example, this is usually a pretty good indicator of the economy. Typically, when the economy is humming along, the price of copper is outpacing the price of gold. It's being used in industry, all that stuff. You can see this has been down only for a while. If I throw Bitcoin on this chart, right, we basically been pumping through this period, which is kind of interesting because you can see in the last bull run, there was clearly a 1-to-1 correlation there, and then the bull run before that has a 1-to-1 correlation there. I have to pop on the log chart here for Bitcoin. I don't know, can't see that one, but the last couple, you can see there's a pretty interesting correlation there. So a bit of a puzzling move for sure in that sense. None of the classic top indicators have flashed, really. So it's making people a little confused. Part of that, I think, is because people expect the present to resemble the past, and it usually doesn't. We're humans; we like to look for patterns, and to have those patterns kind of repeat and guide us in our future decisions. The reality in crypto is like we've got a sample size of 3 with most of these things, and they're really kind of statistically meaningless. And I think it's important to take a look at the market and just kind of objectively think from this point forward, like what could be happening, and not rely on these kind of random little anchor points that were useful party tricks in the past, but don't really mean anything. As for right now, I I do think there's a pretty good chance the Bitcoin bottom is in. Monthly order block here. Specifically, the rejection block component of this monthly order block, that was a pretty nice tap of that level. As you can see, we still haven't put in a higher low, or excuse me, a higher high or anything here yet. So this very well could still roll over, but I do still think that the bottom is very close. That I'm relatively confident in. The one thing I will caveat this with, though, is that we've been talking about on the stream a little bit, and definitely in the Discord, the potential for stocks to ruin the party here if we were to lose this structural low, and likely kind of retest this range high here on the S&P 500 around 6,100 or so. That would be a 7.5% drawdown, and likely a pretty catastrophic event for crypto as a whole, which has already been kind of struggling. Although I would probably expect crypto to bottom before the stock market does, in the same way that it sort of started selling off before that event happened. So that is concerning. Tomorrow we've got NVIDIA earnings, which is a big deal. And everybody is kind of, I think, assuming that the earnings will be good. And because the earnings will be good, the market will go up. And I tend to be in that camp. But I'm also well aware that like markets often top on good news. It's a piece of good news that gives that final little fake out that gets people trapped, and then down we go. So I would watch for that type of price action post NVIDIA. NVIDIA is like 25% of the freaking market at this point. It's so big. It's basically everything. I was hoping that we would have a setup this week where we had the Monday range form. So here's the. Do I not have these saved? I should probably save these templates. This is the Monday low. Well, that's not the Monday low. This is the Monday low, and this is the Monday high. So this is kind of like an anchor point for the week here, right? This is kind of the week opens. Monday, you typically see people accumulating positions, and then the market, if it wants to go somewhere, often will like fake out of one end of the range back inside the range, and then go. My bias on stocks is bullish here. Like we've put in like a higher high. This structurally looks fine. There is like a bearish divergence here, but I think there's a very high probability it doesn't play out and ends up resolving to the upside. I assume the trend continues until proven otherwise in bull markets. So all of all of the things were there for us to have a Monday range, fake out, Monday low, back inside, and kind of trade higher. And I wanted to use that as a sort of like trigger to go long altcoins, especially. Now, today, unfortunately, we did not get that. You can see we're so close here to reclaiming, and then end of day had a pretty nasty rejection. Does it mean this is all over? No, we could come back inside here. Maybe we do another sweep and come back inside, and then we're all good after earnings. But that was not encouraging to me. And there is a real case to be made that we just kind of have some bearish zones here, some bearish price action that is being respected, and maybe this low gets taken out, and then maybe this becomes a bearish zone, and the next thing you know, you are breaking structure, and then possibly all hell is breaking loose in the markets. It's possible that price is telling us there's something going on behind the scenes in the plumbing that us plebs are not seeing. I tend to try to just let price dictate what is happening and go with it. I don't think I have any edge in speculating on macro things. That's just not my deal. So basically, if earnings go well tomorrow, we probably get a move back inside this range, right? And this is good. What I would watch out for would be some sort of push above the Monday high. Everybody gets excited, and then there's like some strong kind of move back down here, back inside Monday's range. At that point, I would be like, uh-oh. Because if we zoom out and look at the higher time frame market structure, right? This is a bearish zone here. We put in a low here, creating this bearish zone, right? So this is kind of like bearish internal structure to this overall like kind of external higher time frame bullishness, right? So a move like this would look like it's putting in a higher high and breaking structure, but it actually would be putting in a lower high to this higher time frame structure. And then if you pair that with like a deviation outside and back in the range, that would be very, very, very no bueno. If this were to happen, I think you could make a good case for probably just selling everything and running for the hills for a while, because I think something like that plays out very poorly, and crypto dies, right? But if instead of that, we get, I don't know, maybe we chop around indecisively tomorrow, we get a good earnings pump, we push up here, and then we hold Monday's high, and we break this high, then I think that's good enough for the breakout, and we're probably Gucci there. And if this plays out, then I think things look a little better in altcoin land. I already think Ethereum is pretty interesting here, and as long as the market doesn't take a huge crap, I think it's due for like a pretty good bounce. We've got this like accumulation range here. We deviate the lows, we deviate the highs. We're back at the mid range, so high probability bounce area. Also got the yearly VWAP in here. If we come on and call up our our RSIs. You can see we got a nice little bull div here, a little crooked, but there you go. So got the bull div. That's pretty good. The weekly Stoke is bottomed and crossing. This last time this happened, we got this move, right? Prior time that happened, we got this move. This one was still a pump, but it was an exit pump. And then prior to that, we had it down here, and we got this move. So this is a pretty reliable indicator. It's not something you just use by itself, but given the context of where we are in the range, the momentum, the divergence, some of the lower time frame price action, I think it's pretty reasonable to expect a ripper here. And there's a couple levels that I would be drawn to. One level to pay attention to is the monthly open, which is here, I believe. Yeah, so this is the monthly open. I mean, we basically just dumped straight off of it. So price, has a tendency to want to revert back there, even if it is going to go lower. We've got kind of like well, not kind of, but this is our higher time frame range high, range low. If we do find some sort of bottom, price has a tendency to want to go to the mid range, maybe take out some of this liquidity here. And that makes sense to me because again, there's a bearish zone. There's a bearish zone. There's a bearish zone. In this zone here, see how here we have the bearish zone, we close outside, we come back to the mid-range, we dump, we close outside, we come back to the mid-range twice, we dump, we tap the range, move away, possible failure to put in a new low. This area here, this mid-range of this zone is kind of a magnet. Liquidity around that mid-range is kind of a magnet. So this like 39.17 or so level around the monthly open, around the mid-range looks pretty good. And then we also have, this level here, right, which is the high of our accumulation range, and that's sitting at 40.95 or so. So I think lots of reasons for price to want to go up here. And it's kind of a banger trade that's 26%, right? You throw a little bit of leverage on that, that's looking pretty spicy. But this is all with the caveat that like we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow yet. We don't know what's going to happen with stocks yet. On the lower time frame, this is still bearish lower time frame structure until we clear this high. So this can definitely come back down one more time. Sweep, then go, something like that. Longing right here is a little bit sus. You are longing into economic data tomorrow. You're longing into the biggest earnings announcement maybe of the year. You're kind of just straight gambling on the lower time frame, but the higher time frame looks pretty good. And I offered some ideas for how to frame a trade here in the Discord. We are in this trade right now in small size. I actually de-risked a bunch of it today with the stock close because I didn't quite get what I was looking for. And I'm trying to be patient here and respect the downtrend and not get run over. But I guess in summary for you guys, BTC, I am assuming, is cooked until further notice. This higher low thing we drew before, I don't think is likely to be a higher low. I think this weekly order block here looks pretty good. There's the monthly open up in here. There's the range high up in here. So, 109K ish looks pretty juicy for a bounce. Kind of very basic bitch textbook price action, not really complicated. But that's kind of what Bitcoin's been doing. Honestly, it's trading like a little boomer TradFi asset. It's not doing anything weird. I mean, look at this shit. Just swept the high and just died. Like you could have just sold the high. It didn't punish you at all. You just sold the high and it died. So yeah, some of this price action has been like, don't overthink it on the higher time frame. So this is the last point of supply after like a really, really big sell-off. This range is likely to provide a lot of support here, probably enough for a bounce. You should assume that that happens. You should probably sell stuff here. We could chill here for a bit, and then alts could really go haywire. Like, we don't have to just insta dump off of that. But until we like trade through that and then like reclaim it, right? Then maybe we can start talking about the bullish scenario again. But this is a weekly structural break with very strong momentum. We've lost a whole bunch of important moving averages. The 3-day trend, which we lost here and gave the dump. This is what I pointed out in the Discord at the beginning of the month. I was like, yeah, guys, we lost this. Last time this happened, we dumped like 25%, and here we are down 21% so far. So also worth noting that if we get a sharp bounce here, that's going to just be an underside retest of the 3-day MA. So like maybe if price is putting in like very strong candles here, like we just completely blast through like fair value gaps, just completely disrespect all of the bearish PD arrays on the way down. Yeah, okay, I might start getting interested, but until then, mental processes. This is going to be a lower high. Stocks, I think I'm still leaning bullish on them, but I am less bullish after today's price action. If we lose these levels, we get a structural break, and I think we come down in here. Maybe they inject some liquidity, invent some new program. We long everything again. We go back up. The drill at this point. And then alts just continue to look very strong. Relative to Bitcoin. I mean, this is a very, very, it's a pretty bullish chart. Alts are up a solid 13% or so from the bottom versus Bitcoin in a time where Bitcoin is just doing this. So worth paying attention to. It does seem like an alt pump is around the corner, but probably wouldn't marry it. Sell most of your stuff if you're in like trades on leverage. Leave little runners on so that you feel like you're still participating. You don't have FOMO. Always nice to leave like a little bit of the trade on, because sometimes you take the profit and then you see the thing just keep going, and then you're like, fuck it, I'm missing the move, I'm back in, and then you rebuy with all your size and immediately reverses against you, and then you kind of revenge trade it all the way down and give all the money back. So just keep a runner, keep a little runner, keep your mental sanity if you take trades here. Anyway, that's a long enough video for today. Sorry guys, I get a little rambly sometime, but had a lot to work through. If you enjoyed the content, please give a like and a subscribe. Please check out the free Discord in the description below. Follow me on X. Check out the new Magic Lines Substack. We'll be publishing content there. Until then, I will see you guys next time.